Wow. Let me say that daylight come up, one go home. Alright, let me just go up a bit. Okay, that's a little bit better. A bit wider, super wide. Alright, we're gonna get ready to start. Yeah, how you doing? Yeah, how you doing? How you doing, people? I know if you're watching a live stream, we're testing out different cameras. The sound might be delayed from my voice to the transmission. So don't worry about that. It's all about testing. And I had a bottle of water somewhere. Yes, I am. Of June 2024. The temperature today is about 24, 23 degrees. Within the next few days, or considering the next few days, we are gonna have midsummer's night. It varies depending, but it's actually the next 3 days. And what it is, it's the longest day in the year, and then after that it's going to start getting dark. The good thing about this year in Finsbury Park right here is that we got sunshine today. We got extra warmth today. The last few days it's been off and on, rain, sunshine, cold, So today is an excellent summer day, and I believe that we will be getting more hot weather in the days coming. Let me just adjust this because I can see something is covering the head. Yeah. So let me just do that. Yeah. So all right, it's gonna get hot. I don't want it to get hot. Just adjusting the shield on the camera there. Right. Yeah. So we're going live. This is a live test. This is several tests going live. I'm going to do test on test on test on test on test on test. The good thing was that just a few days ago, last Sunday, I actually ran into Jeremy Corbyn. They're actually out and about, actually promoting, knocking on people's door, telling them to vote for him. He's actually an independent candidate, and he likes politics so much that he continues. He's been doing it, I know it, for at least 30 years, and so you know what? When Tony Blair was actually in government, I went up to Jeremy Corbyn, see him on the street and stuff. And I said to him, it doesn't matter which government that is in, whether it's Labour or Conservative or SDP and Conservative, Jeremy Corbyn is always in opposition. And it just reminded me, typically, he's back to his old form, So that's Jeremy for you, politics through and through. And it's good to see him doing that with all the energy and all of his followers and different people that are volunteering to help. He's my local MP. He's a local MP in relation to Finsbury Park. So I give him my blessings. That's right. We've got that. The last podcast I did, I had the last podcast I did, I had the larger poster. Sorry, I had to go and double check some of the equipment today. Got to make sure all of it is working at the same time. But yeah, so Jeremy Corbyn is up for he's campaigning to be part of the local MP for Islington North. Finsbury Park area is part of his patch, his constituencies. Every now and then, from time to time, you actually see him up and down in Finsbury Park. So you can say hello to him. Sunday, I saw him about 3 times. All right, just back to a date check. So today is Thursday, the 20th of June, 2024. Time now is about 2 p.m. Temperature is about 22 to 23 degrees, nice and warm, summer outfit. The location, we are here in Finsbury Park. The whole political process here in the UK, we've got about 14 days to about, it's around 14 days, around 2 weeks time, we're going to cast our vote. The latest thing that happened today is that the Conservative Party, not only was there a police officer who was in special protection for Rishi Sunak, the current Prime Minister, Conservative Prime Minister, and not one, but 2 Conservative MP have been, let's say, indicted for inside information, because they've used the information that they've gathered they actually put a bet on, and the betting people actually called the police in and said, this is foul play, this is inside information, and just double checking that, and this is it's foul play, inside information, and it's a crime. So the police officer and both of the Conservative, I think they're both MPs, or they're both Conservative. Well, one is definitely have been suspended. Right, so we're in this great political time. Coming up the rear end is actually another person called Nigel Farage with a Reform Party. For me, Nigel Farage is today's version of Enoch Powell in disguise. When you talk about right wing, what does right wing actually? From my point of view, it means you've got racist tendencies. If you go over to Europe, Macron has actually decided to call a very fast election for France because the right wing is actually gaining a lot of momentum. What they're all about? They're all about getting foreigners out. They're all about othering other people. But they're very sophisticated in how they're doing that. They, in fact, getting the same people who look like the foreigners to actually tell you that the other foreigners are not welcome. The other foreigners are taking all the stuff you're supposed to take, you're supposed to have. But what it is because of the mismanagement, right? The parties, the governing parties, because of the mismanagement, that they've got all these problems. Why the locals can't get hospital, they can't get schooling, the courts, the prisons, every aspect of government function is actually malfunctioning. It's not working properly. It's overloaded. And one of the reasons why is because all of those people from the G7, right, G7 nation, tells their people all the time. It was from 2008 when we had the banking crisis and we had the crash. And from that point up to now, year on year, everybody has said to all their departments of government or services, you have to cut back. You have to cut back by 10% every year. Right now, all of these departments, and one of the biggest one at the moment is National Health, has been cut back so much, they've been cut back to the bone, that they can't cut back anymore. But the other trick is that they don't actually increase the payment to any one of the organs of the state. They don't actually increase the payments with the cost of living. They will say, oh yes, we increased it from last year, we've added a couple of billions. But what happens is that every 10 years, the price actually doubles. Right? Your wages double, the cost of the rent doubles, electricity doubles. The thing about the utilities, they've found ways over the last 10 years, all of the utilities have found ways of this thing called standing charge. Whether you use the utility or not, you still got to pay a charge for being connected. So every year, year on year, they find ways of increasing their profits, right? Your cost now as a consumer goes up, right? So if you got one or telling you it's going to get cheaper, vote for us, we are governing properly, we know how to allocate funds, we are fantastic managers. Wrong. That's why you're in crisis, right? That's why you can't get what you're supposed to get, whether it's the NHS, whether it's education, whether it's policing, whether it's the judicial system. Look. A couple of days ago, I was passing the unemployment office. The people who actually work for the unemployment office was actually out on strike. A lot of the people who work for DHSS is actually on benefits themselves, right? So they are on a sort of minimum wage. So when prices actually rise, they actually get poorer every year. So when the doctors and nurses ask that they want 35% increase, that is the real value, or that is close to the real value of what the increase should be. And they are due to be out on strike during when we are voting. Have year on year cutbacks, and the small increases that they get never covers the increase in prices. The great thing a couple of days ago, inflation is 2%, right? Now what does that mean? It means on average, the prices are going to rise for this year by 2%. But it went up by 10% last year. So it's 2% on top of that 10%. Actually, no, it's not even 2% on top of that 10%. Right? It's if you add that 10% in, it's 2% of the whole total. It's all compound. And this Western economic system is part of the whole problem. America, the G7, when they get together, it's about this European monetary system. One benefit of it is that anywhere in the world, you swipe a credit card, it will clear, right? It will clear. The people who have a major hey, how are you? Just step right in. He's a bit late, but yeah. So the European, because of the European monetary system, that's why governments can never pay the bill. France is in a bit of a bind. Let me make sure, because this one's a bit closer. I can't even see. Oh, that's me. That's me over there, and that's you over there. Yeah, it's a tight one on that. Yeah, it's tight. No, that's all right. Let's get Jeremy in there. Right, so that one, yeah. All right, so the governments can never pay their bill. France has been not reprimanded, but the European Union has said to them.
I saw that on TLDR media on YouTube.
Because the debt, the GDP, the debt they have is more than the gross domestic product. France's debt is 113% above the GDP. But why they got told off is because they predict that the debt is going to be up.
3 big companies that would, I can't, if I can remember. One was called something Fitch.
Yeah.
Oh,
they do the ratings?
One ratings.
Yeah.
Another one was called Standard & Poor.
Yeah.
And there was a third one as well.
Okay.
I don't know. Are they part of the IMF? They're private companies that work for the. Do they work for the IMF or?
No, the IMF again is a different body connected to the financial system. But here's what. This is where we got to go and do some research and work, right? Yeah. So I've just touched the surface.
Yeah.
So down on the debt, and we're going to cut down on the payment of the debt.
Oh, Osborne.
There you go. Right.
Bringing in austerity. Osborne and Cameron.
Right. The debt hasn't gone.
Duncan Smith.
Yeah, the debt hasn't gone down. The debt has gone up.
Yes.
Right. That's why it's 96%.
Like the undelivered hospitals on the side of the big red bus.
Yeah,
Bojo promised on the side of the bus, the Brexit benefit. The thing that fooled everyone, that nice little figure, and so the austerity wasn't for anything. It was just cruelty.
Yeah. Do you remember Bernie Madoff?
Madoff. He made off with all the money.
Yeah.
Madoff. Did he go to jail?
Yeah.
So is he still in jail?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, for a long time.
Yeah, he's the fall guy. Sacrificial lamb.
Maybe he stole from the wrong people. He stole from other rich people.
No, what happened? Listen, I think everybody's doing it. But it's like the pension.
But I mean really rich, big rich, not middle rich people.
No, I tell you what happened. Because of the economic crisis, some people says it's like the tide going out. Right? So it's now show your hands. You officially got to show your hands to the banker. And then when the tide's gone out, they realize he's not wearing any swimwear. He's butt naked, right? And a couple of people got caught out, right? And even the beginning of this year, we had 2 or 3 banks actually crash. They got bought out, right? That's because when the interest rate started to go up from like 0.1% and it's now like 4%, people took all their money out of those banks and they put it in the banks that was offering them like 4%. So those banks were now in crisis. So the bigger banks actually bought them out, right? So it's a Ponzi scheme. Everybody's playing that game, right? And it's really a funny kind of financial game, France, and you can relate to that without going in depth into the real sort of financial situation.
Well, I also saw in the similar in the same video that
Spain.
Those debt companies, the private debt companies, ratings companies.
Yeah.
They spoke the French stock market called the Bourse, and they started putting their money into London, which they would never have done before, because they're saying that in front they're scared of Le Pen's sort of victory. But really what it was is the reaction against Le Pen means that the far left are getting together and doing fairly well. And Macron's going down the middle ground. He's going nowhere, so that's their stability gone. And they are a little bit scared of Le Pen instability, but what they're really scared of is the left-wing instability, because Le Pen isn't socialist, she's a capitalist, in whatever she says. Really? And it won't. Yeah, she well, they promise socialist things. It's called, to be anti-establishment, you've got to make some socialist rhetoric, haven't you?
Wait a minute, is that sheep in wolf clothing, or is that wolf?
Sheep in wolf's clothing. No, yeah, sheep in wolf's clothing. Yeah. Sheep and wolves. Well, it's a kind of nationalism, economic nationalism, that sounds like socialism. But the thing is that what really scares them is that the left-wing parties are doing well now. They're climbing up slowly. It looks like she's still going to win, but they're climbing up. What they're really scared of is due to the backlash, they could actually do well, and that won't do them any good. But what they're saying in public is they're saying they're actually scared of the far right. But it's like the stock market in London pretending they're scared of Farage. Well, what are they scared of him? He's a merchant banker. He's a capitalist. But they can say he's scared of him.
We are in
because they might be scared of the backlash to him. Because if he might cause a very strong sort of socialist backlash against him.
Do you know, I believe Farage, one of his jobs was he was a banker.
Yes, of course.
And I've seen him in lots of financial adverts.
I'm not a merchant banker or something, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a bank. He's part of the system.
Part of the system. Oh yeah, and you just need to look at some YouTube, and you'll see him talking about
selling advertising. Yeah, for the financial services.
Yeah.
I think that's what he was in before.
The Tory party that he says he doesn't like and wants to destroy, he was in for about 20 years or something, or for 15 or something in his early days. But you know, he because of his big ego, he couldn't play second fiddle to anybody. So he took over this nationalist grouping that was a bit right wing, but it was nationalist, but it was anti-EU, but more sovereignty anti-EU. And he took it over and turned it into a kind of racist.
Wow.
Anti-EU party. He took it over. It's called UKIP, and Alan Sked, and he took it over. You know, Alan Sked's still very bitter about this, but there's nothing to do about it. He kind of took it over, and then he's pretending to be the anti-establishment, as all the sort of 1930s bodies tried to do. They're he jumped on that. He was but it's funny, he's played in and out of the Tory party, in and out, and now he's making a play to be part of the the new Tory party with the Brexiteers.
After the death of
after the death of the Tory party, which he wants to destroy, to then reform it as his Tory party.
Now keep on speaking. I just got to cover this little camera there because of the heat.
So none of them are anti-establishment.
They are establishment. And what you heard that? What is it? I heard about Boris Johnson coming. Is he coming back? What's he doing?
No. Very cleverly, he's done another clever one.
Okay.
He was going to come in to help the Red Wall and that,
okay.
But I think he knows he's not popular because of Partygate.
Okay.
And he must be quite scared, and he's done another hide in the fridge type thing, and he says he's going to go on holiday with his family because he's got a nice little number, that Daily Mail speaking to us, lots of money coming in. So why would he spoil that?
So what do you think? What do you think his strategy is? Popping up, showing, and then going on holiday. What is there a gameplay there somewhere?
No, I don't think he wants to. I think he's got a nice, plenty of money, and I know he knows his days are numbered. I don't know if Farage took over, maybe Farage would give him a job. Make Britain great again party.
Yes.
The Marber.
Yes.
Because that's what Braverman and Jenrick and like far extreme Brexiteers want, isn't it?
So tell me how that play is going to work out. So the Conservative Party is going to be annihilated, and then Farage is going to what? Step into the back door.
He's going to be the hero. Yeah, he'll be the hero. Because what he's saying, right? You remember when he said that the Rwanda idea is a silly idea.
Yeah.
And he's in a very populist way, but he's not going to the Rwanda fights at all. In fact, he likes them. What he wants to do is to make them possible, right? By getting rid of the European Court of Justice, making it sort of the international, and make it more possible. But he's saying he plays funny games. He speaks from two sides of his mouth.
We're talking
but
about.
It looks like, but people seem to just say he's very honest because he's aggressive, and being aggressive people often sound like they're being very honest because they're being very aggressive. But if you look at any very, very good Hollywood actors, they can actually. Some of them are excellent as playing rough, aggressive characters, and of course, it's what they train to do.
Yeah. So what do you think the current situation is? How is the vote split up? You reckon? Is there such a thing called white van man? There's such a thing called.
So yeah, these are made up ideas. These are stereotypes, right? You remember some time ago they started flirting with this idea of the white working class.
So what?
Which is nonsense. Working class are working class. It's an economic idea. But suddenly they started flirting with this idea. I think. On Trump's sort of victory, they all start flirting with this kind of populist idea. It's part of the populism, isn't it? That's that is sort of a national or socialist nationalism.
Hang on, I just checking. Yeah, we still worried about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how is Trump doing at the moment?
Seems to be doing well. I don't know. Seems to be doing well. Seems to be doing well. I mean, people. It's funny that seem to be doing well in Europe too. It's hard for me to understand it. I don't know enough about it, but they seem to be doing quite well because they've stolen the socialist clothes, and yet for people who are basically working class conservatives who are quite comfortable with their brand of sort of eco pretend it is, and then because that what sort of floats their boats. They floats their small boats. Things like, the racism, basically. That's the main plank. See, what makes the right and the far right who they are is the racism.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell people you're just going to be in poverty and doff your cap forever and just accept it. But when they throw racism into the mix, they throw a hand grenade in. They just, basically, they show something which has been enormously historically successful. The fear of foreigners.
So George Galloway was asked, how would he solve the migration problem? Because that is one of the biggest selling point of this current election
That's interesting.
at the
Please tell
moment.
me. What did he say?
What did he say?
No, I'd love to know.
The British military assets, which is the Navy, are currently all over different places, like the Middle East and the Gulf of opposite Iran and stuff, because of the perceived and shooting down missiles that are fired from that Bahrain area over to Israel.
Yemen,
Fired from Yemen, right? So they're all over there, all the assets. And he says, well, doesn't Britain pride itself of having the best navy in the world? The answer is yes, right? So why is it none of the navy is off the shore of England, between England and France, stopping a very simple task of a few minuscule boats compared to this big mother of a size warship?
Maybe if an aircraft carrier like the Ark Royal got stuck in the channel, then basically people could actually walk from Dover to Calais using it on the deck, and it couldn't be moved like the ship during lockdown that got the tanker that got stuck in
blocked Suez Canal.
It would block it. Those ships are very big to go through that canal. I don't know. I'm guessing. You've thrown me a curveball, and I've thrown a curveball back to you.
No, that is very true.
It seems very, it's a little canal.
That is very true, because if one of those aircraft carriers was parked in the channel there, on both sides, from the English side, you could actually see who's actually on board.
But it's also slightly tongue-in-cheek because I don't think that they're really that interested in small boats. It's more of this if they really wanted to stop it, they do what the essentially and Green parties say, and they go back to having safe routes, and they get rid of the backlog, and then they have more civil servants dealing with the backlog. They actually like the backlog. They like to have this perpetual problem because it helps with the populism, doesn't it? Perpetual
yes, it
problem.
Does. Yeah.
If they want small boats, they create them.
And why does
they get actors and they pay them just like Nigel Farage? Vote Leave. I mean, got this out of work actor. I think he was from Ireland, right? To sit down with his legs crossed. So the white guy was with a building hat on, with the short shorts and that, right? And he was. I can't remember exactly what it was about, but it was something to do with the vote Leave. It was to do with having. I don't know what it was about really, but I remember it was. It was a racist theme or we are broke theme or something. I don't know, but somehow I remember, and finding out was quite artificial.
Right, and back to the migrants. Look, and back to Netanyahu, and back to the.
Most people are not bothered about migrants at all. If they weren't mentioned again, no one would think about them.
Can somebody tell the British government and the American government to get ready to take the Palestinian people who are going to be exiled from their land? Can they get ready to get these migrants who are fleeing war in Gaza, which they're supplying the bombs and the guns and the technology? Are they ready for these immigrants to flood their shores? Because if you're giving somebody else the bomb to bomb their place, right? And this is the reason why we have migrants coming in both. Because Britain has
as well as the climate catastrophe,
right?
And as well as the poverty caused by the IMF,
right? Yes, add that to it.
Sorry, add it to all. But the primary problem with what called asylum seekers rather than the other migrants, right? That's whose stories. I'm certainly not running them down, but stories are more complicated. But the actual asylum, and according to international law, asylum, right, which was proposed after the horrors
And who
of
was
the Second World
who
War.
was the
Asylum is people running away from war.
and who was one of the major advocate of those rules?
Winston Churchill?
Exactly, England.
Yeah.
And that
set
is,
up by the Allies.
and that is why Britain, the British people being fooled. I'm going back to the Santa Claus thing,
Of
and I'm
course.
going back to the Tooth Fairy.
A
That's
tooth
why
fairy,
the
yeah.
British people are being fooled and saying, look at those migrants. But due to international law, which Britain helped to set up, they have to accept it. But no one's telling the British people that.
Nigel Farage, right, has studied, right, what's culturally useful to him. So he wears an Armani suit that makes himself look respectable, and he has a cigarette and a beer to make himself look like man down the pub. Because in England, the pub has taken on a certain kind of characteristic, certain meanings, right? Now, in America, he would never try to do that in America. Like, you might wear an Armani suit, that would go down quite well. But having a fag in, because it's a much more Puritan society, more evangelical, he'd really upset evangelicals by having a pint of beer in his hand. He'd go down very well with the Klansmen, you know, and the Dixieland. He'd go down with the Geezeroys, the cowboy Geezeroys, right? But he would upset the biggest base of all, the evangelicals, Christian fundamentalists. Yeah. So he wouldn't do it because he's a charlatan. It's a concoction. So it's made to look a certain way. It's not studied. It's not thought out. People similar to Jeremy Corbyn who've actually told people consistently, you know, things that they've learned and read about
that
are given a short shrift because a lot of people don't want to hear it because it doesn't sound comfortable.
Now he tells them what they need to hear.
They
But
need to
here's
hear.
what
Yes.
they don't want to hear.
No, they don't want to hear
because
it. They want to hear it. They wanted to hear what Johnson had to say.
Yeah, they want things which is oven ready.
Oven ready.
Oven ready.
Oven ready.
And how did that meal turn out?
I think they spat it out, especially after with prosecco. I think once the prosecco hit their lips, they spat it out.
It was a disaster. It is a disaster. And which party has blatantly said they're gonna go back and renegotiate and join?
Shake and join.
And they're using it as a campaign feature.
Lib Dems?
Lib Dem. And what is Starmer saying?
That's consistent. Starmer's, I don't know. I don't know. Starmer just says we want change, and that's what he said. And we cost it. And Starmer uses a mechanical. Everything is very mechanistic and simple slogans that he will not go off script about the things that his spin doctors have told him to say. So he just kept using the word change. He'll say he won't go back to the EU because he believes this magical red wall that has been created for him to believe in. Right? Even the Tories don't believe in the red wall.
Well, when they're the ones who created it.
No one created the red wall. The media, Murdoch's media, created the red wall. It was a creation because lots of poor and desperate people in the deindustrialised parts of northern England and Wales, South Wales, and the Midlands, right? Obviously with a strong flavour of the race card put into it, were actually fed this, Yeah. And I mean Robinson and his sort of anti Asian campaign. I won't use the words because we all know what can be a very, very nasty sort of thing about like grooming gangs and what have you.
Yeah.
And all. So you add all these up together. So right, and it was a concoction. So this red wall concoction, because how the hell can people that live in Yorkshire just be more naturalistically more bigoted than people in the more liberal Surrey and Kent, the Blue Wall. That's another creation. Blue Wall.
Well, what is that? What, as you said, Starmer and his advisors are telling him to keep it simple.
After all, if there was a red wall, it would be still there now.
Yeah.
And if there was a blue wall, it would be still there now.
Yeah.
But both of these places are anti-Tory. How's that? So it must be an artificial creation.
It is. It's a construct.
Yes, they've gone into the television studio
Yeah.
and seen how it's been made.
Yeah.
A lot of working class people have actually realised what they've gone behind the EastEnders and Peyton Place and that, and they've seen how it was made, and they said, that's nothing. That's artificial makeup and that patronises us. We don't live like that. Hello, mate. Get out my pub. Come on.
But, yeah.
Let's have a pint up there.
But,
Here, get in your white van. Yeah, we're foreigners. Yeah, they're all different from us.
Yeah, but here's what a massive part of the British public actually believe in that.
Oh, yes.
And when you go back to Starmer and the simplicity of his message, that gives me a reflection on the British public. The British public that fell for Brexit. And now we got...
What was he doing going to the Telegraph and saying how much he loved Margaret Thatcher?
Who's that? Cameron?
Smarmy.
Who's that?
Smarmy. It's the Smarmy did.
Okay.
You remember when he became a patron and he wants to win over the Red Wall?
The Red Wall hates Thatcher. There's still legacies. Families are still not speaking to each other.
But it seems to be a complete artificial creation. So why did he go over there, right?
But let me use your...
Because in the future, he's going to, his light will come back to haunt him. Okay, he's got a big majority now, like Cameron had, like Johnson had. But you know, what goes up must come down. I mean, in the future, you know, like he's got rid of lots of genuine Labour supporters. 20-year-long Labour supporters who've actually, and they're not going to go knocking on doors. He's going to have to, if he does send any leaflets around, he's going to have to rely on adverts.
He'll have to do it himself.
An advertising company. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. He'll everything will be advertising companies and media spin, and then he gets somebody to go on TikTok to speak to the young. Not like Jeremy Corbyn went to Glastonbury to speak there. No. You do it through TikTok, and you just say things that young people, whoever they are, want to hear.
So there's a couple of
young people.
Yeah, there's a couple of interesting factors in this year's election. The photo ID. I think there's quite a few people, not necessarily in the Red Wall, but quite a few people who believe that they can do anything, anytime they want, who haven't got ID, who are likely voters of Brexit, right? Have you got? Do you know what their reactions is going to be?
I remember that many of the people that voted in that referendum, based on the racism that was offered to them of Brexit, and the magic formula of more council houses for sort of native white people, right? By getting rid of this dark sort of in this invasion. These same, I remember seeing videos asking them had they ever voted before, and many of them were people who'd never voted, and then they were swept up with the Johnson, but they weren't actually Tory supporters. They just liked Johnson, just like many sort of like country people like Trump, but like Trump, or like Johnson. He just nice guy on TV. He's real funny. Kind of, he's one of us. He drinks beer and he's one of the lads. He plays rugby. He's good.
So what?
So but you know anything about the Republican Party? Yeah. Tory Party? Yeah. I'm not interested in that. I just like him.
Yeah.
But now, I don't like him anymore, so I'm gonna just do my own thing, you know.
And if you're a woman,
Yep.
he can grab me there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but listen how the similarities with this populism. Johnson's one of the things that Johnson got in trouble with first of all was not just this Tory MP who lost big time in the West Country, who was off in the Caribbean during the lockdown, and then and was like, you know, he had a huge majority due to Johnson in somewhere in the West Country, and he was on trial for his corruption, right? And Johnson supported him. But the next one that Johnson supported was Chris Pincher, by name and nature.
Yeah.
And that blew him big time. So
that was the beginning.
That's
That was
the
the beginning
beginning
of the
of
end.
the end.
Have you ever heard this phrase? They say, "How do you go bankrupt?" And this formula applies to many things. They said very slowly at first,
Slowly and fast.
then very quickly. Right. So what happened with Johnson? It started very, very slowly, then it went very quickly with Pincher. Pincher was like almost the final
straw.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he also opened the Pandora's box because there was a time when the Tories when the 70s or something, when the Tories went through their family values thing, right? And then they were
Back to
outed.
basics.
Back to basics.
Yeah.
Back to basics. And then suddenly there was all visiting sort of rent boys and having affairs with having affairs with secretaries and visiting.
That's back to basics.
Visiting sex workers and taking drugs. So and then they stopped doing it. But with Johnson, they thought it was okay to actually start pushing this kind of populism, this kind of like little boy geezeroid populism of, you know,
Who was
the
that?
laddism. And now they push the laddism, but the laddism can also backfire because after Pincher thought he'd get away with it, but then when he found that he couldn't and he was seen for the despicable rat that he was, and he couldn't be protected, suddenly the focus, the light was shone on other members of the establishment who were abusers and horrible. And there's a lot of them, and they're mostly in the Tory party.
Who was that? Who was one of Mrs. Thatcher's favourite frontbench MP who got caught out with an affair, and then he had to resign or they sacked him, and then Mrs. Thatcher brought him back in? I don't think it was Baker. It was a really an old guy with you know these ventriloquist dummy. You know, it's usually of a posh with a monocle. He was almost typical of that kind of that image. Right. Yeah. So that kind of thing has been going on from, and if you go back to the Profumo affair, and you know, and if you go back further still, if we go back to what's that royal scandal? He gave up his crown. He gave us his thing to the throne. Simpsons, yeah. What's it?
Simpsons?
No, the Simpsons. It was something on the Simpsons. Because he fell in love.
Yeah.
And he had to give up the crown.
I think they were called the Simpsons.
Yeah.
But
his first name was something. The man's name, the woman's name was Simpson. Not Andrew and Simpson, but then look at Andrew. Prince Andrew, and Epstein, right? So these things have always been happening. But let me get back to what currently, because there's loads of things happening. Today's a crazy day. I mean, even in politics, is that right?
I tell you what, one reason I'm very happy, because it's the second day we visited my ex-job centre.
Okay.
And found and actually seen a huge noisy picket outside.
So did I.
Brilliant.
So did I.
Well, yeah.
So did I. Locally.
Locally, yeah.
Yesterday.
Well, mine was in East London.
Oh, did you see?
Yeah.
Department.
And the first one was what do they call them? Marks of vodka. CPSA.
Right.
And then the second group, today's group, was was GMB.
All right. So it was the Department of Work and Poverty.
And poverty.
Did you see the sign?
No, I didn't.
No,
Wonderful.
down there they had a sign. The Department
Oh,
of Work and
so it's a national. Of course, it has to be a national thing.
Well, they were
so
there.
it could be up and down the country.
Yeah, they
That's
were.
brilliant.
They were there Tuesday.
That's
So it's a
brilliant.
national thing. That was the
Yeah,
union
brilliant.
one, right? So if it's the union, it's
But
national.
we've heard nothing about it.
I know.
In the news, nothing about it.
And-
This is very important.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And if you didn't walk
And when
past,
I looked through the window, there was nobody inside.
yeah. And if you
It's
didn't
very
walk past,
successful.
and I didn't walk past there, we tell anybody, they'll think like we're.
But it's the same as when I pass colleges and or in front of Hackney Town Hall, which could well stand in for many other town halls, and seeing the tentifadas, you know.
Well, tell us about it.
Yeah.
Tell us about what it
tented intifada, the tents outside of the town hall.
Right, tell us what it means, because a lot of
Well, intifada, it means uprising in Arabic.
yeah.
It's
So
what-
why are those people out there?
They're out there because they want to spread the word about the ceasefire and about the Gaza, the Palestinian suffering,
All right, we have to be like
terrible suffering.
yeah.
And you've noticed it's been completely pushed off the media totally.
Yeah,
So
look.
today there was nothing about it.
Look, we have to be like Starman, right? And even though we're having a complex conversation, we
Oh,
still
they're only going to take your water away. Oh, okay. No, I've got the right. I've got the right to drink your water.
Yeah.
To defend my right to let you starve.
yeah.
we are.
Right, so
I'm
what-
not. It's okay.
Yes.
You know that.
So we have to break it down in the most simplistic way, just like Starmer is saying, and tell people the reason why there are people outside of the town hall because they're protesting probably every day and every night, and they're
Yeah.
sleeping out
But
there.
first of all, people who go past will be a little bit scared of them, thinking, "Oh no, Hamas." Or they'll be thinking something scary. Or they'll be thinking, just stop oil, ranting.
Right.
But as time's going on, I've noticed more people have been joining in, visiting, and it's becoming a social thing. And in a way, due to the cost of living crisis and every going up being expensive, more and more people are going there as a social thing, but also finding they've got a lot in common
Yeah.
when they do start talking.
So why they're doing it is because they're protesting about the war in Gaza. They're protesting about the people being killed. They're protesting about the arms that have been that's sold
That's
from
specifically.
America
but also
and Britain.
when you talk to such people, you'll find that the connections like we have are very much bigger because all of them have some different angle where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Injustice is the first angle, but then comes the different facets of it. Somebody can talk about the Palestinian problem. Somebody can come along and say, well, yeah, I was a soldier in Afghanistan, and I'm living in a tent, and I'm fed up. And then somebody can come along and say, well, I'm a Kurdish refugee, and we've just been thrown to the wolves. And
for helping the British no, not Kurdish. Sorry, I was thinking of where was it? Just behind Pakistan there, where Russia was fighting first of all now. And
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan. Yeah, I'm thinking of the.
You've even forgotten the name. Imagine that at one time you couldn't have forgotten. The name would have been the first thing you said. Yeah.
Oh, the tip of the tongue.
The tip of the tongue.
Yeah. The Afghan interpreters and support workers who supported the British during their occupation down there in Afghanistan, and they were just left thrown to the wall. And funny enough, there is a percentage of Afghan on those boats who are trying to get to England, and this is
of course. And yes, and many of them are well during the last flights, many of them were falling off the aeroplanes. They were trying to get there, and they were promised they would be given a place. And I remember British Army officers were saying, "Oh, how morals! I mean, people were forefront, and they're very damn good." And it's dishonourable that they should not be allowed, and now they're forgotten about.
And one of the most disturbing things was that there was just one special flight for the animals.
Animals. Carrie Johnson. And she manipulated that with some other, with an ex-army guy who was running a private company to make a bit of money out of it, and he was flying the animals out for Carrie Johnson.
And what's Carrie Johnson's position with Johnson at the moment? Oh, actually, you said his second name, Johnson.
Johnson and Johnson.
Tell the people.
Is that a baby, Rob?
Yeah, how many babies have they had together?
I don't know.
For those who've forgotten, Carrie Johnson and Boris, they're married, aren't they?
Yeah, and also, if they were MPs, they could get benefits for having more than 2 children. They could actually get a benefit. The 2-child benefit is not because of, was not going to be lifted because of money and moralism. I don't know, sort of like whatever, you know.
All right.
Spendthriftiness. But yeah, isn't it funny?
Yeah.
So everywhere we look is corruption.
All right. So let's kind of conclude today. So we've got the hottest days ahead. Not necessarily the hottest day, but the longest days, and then we've got the protest.
Okay, folks, it's time for you to go out and talk to people, and then put down your phones and talk to people, and go down to Hackney Town Hall or any other protest and have a chat with people.
Is the protest?
Go down to Stonehenge and chat with people down there.
You see now. See, that's why they call me Baron, right? So I was listening to a conversation.
Because you can't have children.
I can have many children.
Or because you're lower than a duke.
Anyway, so I was listening to a conversation on some radio station today about why people were so offended by whatever they sprayed onto the stone.
Yes, it was indelible. There's a kind of ink that meant to rub off. Yeah.
And people was highly offended. But you see,
highly offended.
See, part of my things about the original belief and tradition.
No, the Druids were terribly offended. In fact, they are the Druids are going to go down there with Tommy Robinson, right, at their head, and they're going to make an anti-Just Stop Oil protest. You know, this is terrible. Save our stones. These are monuments. Monuments have to be saved. After all, these monuments were created by God knows who, right? In whenever, thousands of years BC, and they stand for standing up. They stand for what they stand for, which is standing up.
Well, Stonehenge, right? In the general belief and tradition, that would be sacred ground.
Oh.
Right? With your belief and your tradition, with the Druids and
paganism,
right?
Pagans.
That would
non-believers.
That would be sacred ground. But what I found
haram. Yeah. These people are non-believers. Kafirs.
But what I found
these people want to destroy the civilization as we know it.
No, they're the original civilization.
Yeah, but they're the monotheism. You can't have pre-monotheism and be a good human being.
The original belief and tradition of England is those people that go down to Stonehenge.
Oh, you mean like Easter? It's called oyster.
Do you know, up to about 10 years ago, they were actually banned from going down to Stonehenge on the solstice. There was two. Yeah, they were banned. And it's only within the last 10 years, right, they've lifted the barriers, right, and allowed them. Because all of a sudden, I think English heritage has realized your true heritage and belief and tradition is actually there. Not as many people say to me when I ask them the question, what's the original belief and tradition of England? They say Roman Catholic. And I usually say, where's Rome? Right? So, anyway.
Yeah.
So
I don't have trouble with all these people from Europe. They should go Rome.
But
Go on, go Rome. I don't mean roam around the countryside because that's not allowed. That I don't mean that kind of freedom of movement, like roaming around the British country. No, I mean go Rome, to that funny place with those, in our Thailand, Italians.
So why people?
Darkies.
Yeah. So why a lot of people?
Light-skinned darkies.
Yeah. So why a lot of people was
people that make pizza. Pizza eaters.
Yeah. Innately
come here, make
offended.
your pizza.
It's because they have realized deep down inside of them, that is their ancestral sacred land. Basically, that is the British, no, let's say the English ancestral sacred land.
Anglo-Saxon.
Further back. The Saxons came from where? All right.
Germany?
Yeah. So what period?
Northern Germany.
So what period are you talking about?
Who knows? The ancient world, there was people moving
All the time.
The Angles from
Yeah.
Denmark. The Celts could have been from anywhere. They moved
Yeah.
up and down.
Yeah.
There was Celtish, right? You can see Celtish burial sites from Romania all the way to Ireland. So who knows where the Celts were everywhere.
All right.
Norway down to the south of Spain.
Yeah. All right. So we can add the Roman Saxon, but that's the original belief.
Anglo-Saxons.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things that the true patriots like to call themselves, Anglo-Saxons. They don't know what it means, but they like that word. Anglo-Saxon. It's a
Yeah.
bit like, on the Sun newspaper, on the corner, you've got to St. George.
But let me say something in relation to the people who go down there, the belief in the traditions and stuff. Remember, we got white witches, and we got black witches, and they got the circle, and they cast spells.
I think the circle was basically created because agriculture was past the early Stone Age, after the hunter-gathering, when people were beginning to live in settled agriculture, and I think it was an early sort of clock or compass that designated where the sun was, because they like a sundial, like a very large sundial. I think so.
And remember, each section has the sign of the zodiac.
Yeah. And I think the spiritual significance was probably more into doing with the sun.
Yeah. So like in Africa, we have
harvesting,
yeah.
harvest time.
So like in Africa, we have original belief and tradition. And then if I go back to Baron Samedi, right? The understanding of the original culture, casting spells, right? And medicine and things. The Jews had the same. Also other sects who used it.
Well, I think a spell is just a more mystified version of the word wish. I wish for something. So you ask like children to wish for a present, or wish that their parents got better from a serious illness. So when they prayed, they were taught to put their hands together and pray.
No, that's a Christian thing.
No, it's a ritual. They could be prayed how they were prayed. They all around the world.
Sorry, my village.
Children all around the world. Children have been taught to do some ritual, right?
Ritual.
Ritual, yes.
That's the word, ritual.
Right. So
which would be different.
Yes, yeah. Now the prayer has got a cultural significance added to it. But basically, I'm just talking about etymology of words.
Yeah.
So basically, somebody has used a ritual and for something they wish to do. Yeah. So a spell, like casting a spell, sounds pagan and therefore bad. So praying is good, but casting a spell is bad. The two things are the same, because if I cast a spell so that my mummy and daddy will get better, right? This is a bad thing because I'm casting a spell, right? But if I pray for my mummy and daddy to get better, this is a very good thing because I'm a lovely kid.
Yeah, that comes from being colonized by the Romans, and so your beliefs and traditions before, right, are like it actually is now.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, beware of those who desecrate the sacred ground, because that spell, right, that dance, that little thing, will be focused upon you, and there'll be many people around with dark hoods, right? Right.
I'm beginning to get pain in my. As you're saying this, I'm finding it hard to walk. Right.
All right.
Can you say something? Can you take it away?
All right. Now this is more akin to Africa.
No, that's better now.
Right.
That's gone. It's gone now.
This is more.
You used the magic word.
Yeah. This is more akin to Africa rather than Europe. There's a doll here,
A doll.
It's a representation of you. You have
Listen.
you have desecrated.
Listen, I read this on the internet, right? Right. I read it. This was some followers in Cuba, Santeria followers, right? And they were very upset. There was a man who ran the temple, right? The Santeria temple in the van or somewhere, and he was talking about stereotypes, and he hated this. The anti-voodoo stereotypes, and he said nobody in Africa had dolls. He said, well, they might have. I don't know if they had dolls, but they didn't have the dolls as was seen in the Hollywood films, the plastic ones, right? They didn't have plastic dolls. They might have. I mean, everywhere around, people have made
from local materials.
From
carving. Have you seen African carvings?
Yeah, but the idea, right, of the idea of sticking the pins in the doll is actually to get a doll manufactured by Mattel or something in America, a plastic doll, and actually putting a pin in it.
So what happened to this preacher who said that?
No, look, they didn't have pins. Where did pin making start?
Look, they're shut.
Look, pin making started in Gloucester. There's a pin making factory. I've been down there.
Have you heard about porcupines?
Adam Smith wrote about it. The pin making came with the Industrial Revolution. They didn't have pins.
Right,
they may have had dolls, but they didn't have pins.
Have you heard about porcupines?
Porcupines, a kind of hedgehog, but with stronger spines.
And some of those spines are sometimes dangerous.
Yes.
You don't need pins. You just need
stab.
By the pine.
Yeah.
Right. Look.
But nowhere in the Yoruba tradition or the Vodun tradition, right, has people ever stuck pins in dolls.
But you can make a likeness of somebody, like a picture, and throw dance on it.
Oh yeah, you can do all sorts of things.
That's a manifestation of today's. Right. Well, back in them days, you could carve out a piece of wood, and you see many carvings, right? You could carve out the image of somebody, and you could either use a knife, and gouge out their eyes, and say, right, I hope that person will go blind, right? And you do a ceremony and a little dance, have a little drink and what have you.
I'm sure people have done this all around the world, and I'm sure even atheists do that. Because when they're angry, they do all sorts of silly things. Because people do silly things.
Exactly.
But it has no great meaning.
Oh, only to those who believe.
No, it has a meaning to the people who are angry and feel hurt.
Brexit has no great meaning, but only to who? The Brexiters.
The poor Brexiteers are now regret. They feel very sorry for themselves.
Well,
the ones who are in cake shops that can't get their cake mixture over from France and Germany.
But they believed in it.
They believe, yes.
Some people believe in strange things. So what I'm saying is actually beware of...
Lots of people believe in strange things.
I
believe in strange things.
Me too.
Yeah.
Right? So beware of desecrating sacred pagan ground.
I believe in the redistribution of wealth. That's really strange.
Right. Because they will carve something and forget about pins, they get porcupine sticks. Right, and stick it in. Right, and they'll dance around it a couple of times. And it's the worst time they could have ever chosen. Because these are the longest days in the year. And it's significant to them, and that the reason why they're there, they feel they haven't, as you say with sun, the sun will give them power. They will pray to the sun god, right?
Quetzalcoatl.
Okay.
He was the sun god of the Aztecs. I think.
Actually, one of the podcasts we did, I did do a thing, inserts of some of the sun god, right? And these are the original religions: the sun god, the rain god, the river god, the fire god.
I must say they were very brutally. They had a very brutal religion, the Aztecs. I'm glad it's gone.
All right, that's over there.
Yeah.
But over here,
they still deserve to keep their gold, even though they were pretty horrible. Because it's theirs.
Right? And if you go back to the original tradition, those who have offended our sacred ground shall pay. Right? So that's deep down. So what was done, they indirectly have cursed themselves to the Stonehenge. Because it's sacred ground.
Sacred ground, okay, fine.
Right? Listen, I believe it's stupid and stressing, so that's what I'm saying.
Okay, fine. Look, why not? You know, I've got lots of friends that believe in different gods. I've got friends that call themselves agnostic, and they talk about a kind of spirituality. And it sounds like a kind of New Age sort of mixed thing. But I think one of the reasons they do it is because they don't really want to get the criticism that I've had for sounding very harsh and cold and brutal. And just being an atheist, you know. Right, and then you're just. I found myself just wiped out, and they didn't want that, so they said I'm agnostic, and they was allowed, and then they were they said spiritual things, and it sounds nice, but I call spiritual things social and emotional.
Let me cover a final subject now,
because I believe that most of the things that we actually like are from us.
It said,
and if we were dead, those things wouldn't exist. Whereas spirit usually means something which exists if you weren't there.
See, in the Bible it says, after you finish worship, clear away any signs of the table and what have you. And it says, do you remember that passage that says, make no image of me? Make no idol.
Graven image, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it graven image?
As far as I can remember, make no graven image of me. Right?
Oh, that's why in Islam you don't have pictures of people.
Makes sense. Oh no, and there should be no images of Muhammad. But back to the Christian. Almost every aspect or around the world where there's Christianity, there's a statue of, what's it, Hail Mary, is it? Mary
Magdalene?
Is it? Yeah. There's a statue, and they will come and they will pray in front of it, right? So, talking about an image or a doll, from applying it to somebody personally, cursing somebody personally, to an image of the great God, right? Where people will go to church and they'll pray in front of the, and say the Hail Mary, so, and that it's mainly, I think, in South America. In fact, there's a big image of Christ is it Rio de Janeiro?
Oh yeah, that's
in fact,
Redeemer.
It oversees the city.
Yes, oversees the city. Yeah,
but
famous.
In the Bible it says, "Make no image of me," right? And when you finish worship, there would be no sign, right? So that's what. Oh, right. So that's a good example, a massive image. But every church there are statues as you walk in of. It was the Hail Mary. Anyway, there's a statue there. Right, and people come and they'll sing in front of it and what have you, right? So, talking about images and what have you, and so I will conclude on that. So, politics. So finally, what do you, with Farage, with Johnson, with Starmer, and who else? And Uncle Tom, and you know who I'm going to vote for? The Raving Looney Party. Lord Such, who's passed away, and the Raving Looney.
What about Count Bigface?
Oh yeah. He's picking up.
He got more votes than Britain First. The first man stormed out. He was very angry when he got less votes than Count Bigface.
Listen, I'm gonna join Captain Binface. No, I'm gonna go for the Monster Raving Looney Party. I'm gonna give them some real policies, some real good policies.
But I'm not gonna. I like fun like that, but I'm gonna add a little something to it that. Because it's very serious about voting, I'm going to vote for the Green Party because I think they're the real socialists. And I think one day we'll need all the left parties because I voted for Tusk before and I voted for other small communist and socialist parties. And I think they should one day all get together like they're doing in France, when there's a very big threat coming up suffragists in the future, like Le Pen has done. So I think I think that the environmentalism is part of socialism. It's an important part, and I think it's and even though I like joking at that, I think it's very, very serious. The climate crisis.
Well, who's still there?
And also, the Green Party will stand for ceasefire.
Well, it's about 2-3 weeks before the election, and every week before the election, when we do this podcast, and even after the election, it's going to be very, very interesting because this is going to be a record of how we were thinking at the time and how things were affected. So, it's goodbye from him.
And goodbye from him.
Alright. Let's see if this one was.
I'm really in a good mood over those job centre demonstrations.
Oh man, I feel.
Because really, that's going to be very good for the people that go in to sign on, because they'll actually be able to talk to them, right? And they might give them a little boost to want to go and vote. Because a lot of the unemployed people are so fed up. They say they're all the same. I don't want to vote for anyone. And we have to break this idea of they're all the same.